So after previewing the RS100s almost 1 whole year ago, I thought it was absolutely time for me to give you my full in-depth review. Now, I don't like to use the term best here on this channel lightly. And when it comes to sparring gloves, the RS100s may be truly worthy of that title. So what is it that makes the RS100s so special? Is it their plush pillow padding? Is it the fact they come in 5 different metallic colorways, 3 different weights, 2 different sizes, or is it something else completely different? Well, let's find out. Starting off with the weight, my 16-ounce RS100s came in at 15.8 and 15.9 ounces respectively, which is really damn impressive for a glove of this size. And while the front, it can be kind of deceiving, but when you put these side by side with my Top Boxer Win 1s, for example, you can see just how plush and how pillowy the RS100s really are. I mean, just look at the sheer amount of padding over the hand capsule, over the thumb, and even over the wrist section. And this only adds to how good these gloves are for sparring, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Now, visually, I think we can all agree at the very least that Rival knows how to make their gloves look a part of their brand. I hate conventional looking products that just stick to the normal path. It is so refreshing and always nice to see gloves that are modern and aesthetically pleasing. And of course, the RS100s are absolutely no exception. As I said before, they come in 5 awesome metallic colorways. I had to get the green and gold, obviously. I've had these for almost 12 months of reasonable use for sparring, and the metallic hasn't settled or moved or diminished in any sense. And even down to the finer details like this rubber label that sits underneath the wrist compartment or the leather is so nice and classy to me. And because it's rubber, Rival have obviously done their due diligence and understand fighter safety. This rubber here is not going to cut you, and because it's recessed below the leather, there's no sharp edges. Props to Rival for really thinking about the R&D of their products. The only real negative I could find on the Rival RS100s is some of the finer details when it comes to the leather finishes and the stitching. There's a few bunch ups every now and again, and it would have been nice to see the ends of the leather that have been cut sitting underneath piping or somewhere else, just so it's hidden nicely and finished a little better. And that casing of the RS100s is actually a synthetic microfiber, or just a fancy way of saying synthetic leather. Now, I know that many of you out there absolutely love leather boxing gloves like I do, but when it comes to durability, I'd be very confident to say that these, at least from a casing point of view, will easily outlast many cowhide leathers. I mean, even from a distance, it would actually be pretty tough to know whether or not you're looking at a PU or a leather that's encased in metallic. But what I can tell you is there's a little bit of a grain to it. It does feel quite soft and flexible, so you could absolutely mistaken this for a leather glove if you were none the wiser. Now, on the other side of the glove, however, you have a full mesh palm. Now, I am a huge advocate for not putting mesh on boxing gloves due to wear and tear. Velcro and mesh just do not mix. However, if the mesh is extremely high quality, like the ones here in the RS100s, as you can see, there is no fraying, no tearing, no little scuffs, nothing. And because I'm sparring Muay Thai with a lot of Velcro users, I would expect some little damage to be there, but honestly, there is no, other than maybe some discoloration from the leather, there is absolutely no wear and tear on this mesh whatsoever. Now let's move on to one of the main attractions of the RS100s, which has to be a phenomenal ergonomic hand fit. And while I can describe to you the best of my ability what this hand fit feels like, sometimes it just does not do it justice. And in this case, that is absolutely true. With a combination of a cloth inner lining, a spacious thumb compartment, a really ergonomic fist position, and even the way the padding envelops or kind of cuddles around your hand just doesn't do it justice to how nice this hand fit really feels. Even the way the wrist compartment really sits against my forearm and wrist quite well, and even the finger endings where my fingers sit on the inside of the leather is just finished so nicely. I just cannot overstate how in every area of this glove, everything just feels perfect for my sized hand. The length and the width of the RS100s is absolutely spot on. I could probably fit another finger width and the length probably a few extra millimeters. So I'll leave my hand size down in the description below so that way you can compare. I can also open and close my hand with absolute ease. It is so easy for me to squeeze my hand and make a fist nice and naturally. And for those reasons, the RS100s, in my opinion, are at least in the top 1, 2, or 3 hand fits I've ever tried. tried. And moving on from a fantastic hand fit, you have the creme de la creme when it comes to these gloves, which has to be the padding. The multi-layered foam on the inside of the RS100s is exceptional. It's extremely soft and pillowy on the outside, but even a little bit more on the inside, more of a medium to hard. When I try and compress my thumb into my fingers or my knuckles, no matter how hard I push, there's still a little bit of resistance going from a super soft to almost a medium density, and no matter how hard I push, there is just no way I can feel the tips of my knuckles at all. The RS100s just have a really good balance of outer protection and inner feedback. So when this glove compresses, it feels great on my hand, but it also feels quite protective to the person that's going to cop a bit of a hit. Now, Russ, who is the owner of Rival, may get a bit mad when he hears me say this, but I would absolutely endorse these sparring gloves for bag work and pad work as well, particularly if you do have hand issues. Now, Russ has clearly stated that these are purpose-built sparring gloves, but due to the level of protection, how nice the padding is, I would still endorse these for bag work and pad work, but just be mindful that softer foam may break down a little bit faster in comparison to most bag gloves. And lastly, let's talk about the wrist section, which just like the hand compartment is extremely plush. You've got about 20 millimeters of really dense and then a fine layer of soft padding on the inside, which makes for a very, very comfortable forearm fit. No matter how tight you tie these laces, I pretty much guarantee that you're not going to feel any compression or any discomfort over that forearm. And that padding across the wrist is just fantastic for absorbing shots. It goes all the way around the back of my forearm and wrist to the front of the palm. So if you're parrying a lot or shelling a lot, these are just a fantastic feature for a protective glove. The only minor negative of the wrist section for the RS100s is there's not a lot of stability there. If you have a good wrist wrap and tie these well over the top, I think it's going to help a little bit, but as there's no connection between the two sections, there's just going to be a bit of flop there. So you're going to get a protective hand capsule from impact, but that stability of the wrist just isn't going to be there. So in summary, after using these just short of 12 months for sparring and a little bit of bag and pad work, I can absolutely confidently say that these are one of the best sparring gloves I have ever used. The comfort you feel when you're wearing them, the comfort you feel when you're hitting something, the comfort you feel when you're getting hit just cannot be understated. Whether you're a hobbyist or professional boxer, MMA or Muay Thai fighter, it really doesn't matter. I just could not hesitate to promote these gloves enough for you. They just tick so many boxes. As long as you have the budget. And for a possibly eye-watering 369 Aussie dollars or around 225 US, you are paying a little bit for this experience. And in comparison to some of your other premium brands out there like Fly, like Winning, like Grant and Phenom, etc., I think the values of the RS100s are right at the top. From the quality of the material, the good craftsmanship, the plush padding, the casing, you name it, these are just feature-ridden machines. And in all honesty, the only people I wouldn't recommend these to are those looking for utter feedback. So if you're looking for a Mexican style glove or a puncher's glove, you're probably not going to enjoy these as much. And obviously, if you don't have the budget, you probably need to give these a miss too. But other than that, I think these bad boys absolutely deserve the sparring crown, which they should proudly wear on their head or glove. So there we have it, legends, the RS100s review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions regarding these gloves, if you've used them before or you're interested in them, make sure you leave a comment down below. And if you're still hungry for Fight Gear content, make sure you take a look at one of my other videos, and I hope to see you guys for a review real soon.